I'm on a floating island, and the floating island is just the size of a tennis court, and there's nothing else all around it but just sky. I'm in a heated tennis battle with my opponent hitting a really great shot that like hits the end of the tennis court, and the only way I can return the shot is by jumping off the tennis court and striking it back, but that means that I will plummet into this like endless abyss.
I'll be in a dream where I'm trying to literally stay on a fence and I'm off balance. And sometimes they're just like, you know, I watched a movie with a dinosaur before I went to sleep. And so my dream is literally just me riding a dinosaur until I tire of it, I guess, until I wake up, you know.
James Vanderbeek was my neighbor, and he's telling me James Dean's my neighbor. And I was like, James Dean's dead. Like, he can't be my neighbor. And he's like, he's your neighbor, and that's why his wife doesn't want him coming over here. And I was like, I don't know what's going on, but.
One of the hunters at our ranch, he grabbed my sister and pushed her up against the stair railing outside, and he keeps yelling at us, I'm gonna kill you with the COVID baby, the COVID baby. And then like, I forced myself to wake up. It was so awful.
Do plants dream? Are they always dreaming? Are plants creatures that never wake up?
So we're learning a lot about sleep and what it's for. And it seems to be that it might be for different things. You know, this is why we study sleep in all kinds of species. I mean, there was a great paper that came out last year from a physics AI group showing that actually when training artificial intelligence systems, by inducing a sleep-like state, it actually dramatically improved the ability for them to learn and filter out junk. I found that study particularly fascinating because you're talking about a machine that needs sleep. You know, forget the research in like jellyfish showing that jellyfish need sleep and they don't have brains. Like, do you need a brain to sleep? Do you even need to be alive to need sleep? And so, like, you know, I liken this to how Philip Dick talked about, do androids dream of electric sheep? But this goes at the question of, why did androids need to dream at all? You know, why did they need sleep? And it seems that once you get to a sufficiently complex system, sleep emerges as something that's important and needed.
My dreams feel like there's so much going on in them, whether it's emotionally or physically. And then I'm thinking, well, who are these people in them? I've never met these people. Where are these places? Like, why can I read German? In my normal waking life, I can't read German.
So in dreams, you never actually read anything. Like, or you don't see your hands doing things. And like, you don't walk from one side of the room to the other. You're there, then you're there. You know, just like the cardboard cutout movie set. Like, there's nothing there. Does that make sense? You know, the cardboard cutout building doesn't need to have working plumbing. Like, it just needed to be a general store. You had to know you knew it's a general store by looking at it. It didn't actually have to stock any shelves. So it's like, you know, when you open a book in a dream, it doesn't actually have words. Like and it's also fascinating when you listen to music sometimes in a dream. Actually, the music doesn't actually exist either. The idea of it is, and you have like snippets of it, but it's not actually a coherent linear thing.
My sleep has been good. I dream almost every night. A lot of celebrities have been showing up in my dreams, and I don't know why. Michael Jordan was over here, you know, singing mariachi.
Que no diga que no estuve, que no diga.
Yeah, I'd like to know if it is just like a manifestation of what you're going through at the time, or if it's just random things that are in your subconscious somehow.
The way I like to think about it is, if you're witnessing your dream, you're listening to your brain speak to itself in its native language. And that's sort of what dreams are. They're not really even meant to be observed. They're experiences that your brain is having, and sometimes you get to eavesdrop on it. But it doesn't need you to, and they kind of don't want you to, which is why you forget them as soon as you wake up. We think about it as yourself communicating in a language. It's the language of thought. It's the language of feeling. It's the language of concept. And in dreams, you get to play around with ideas. You get to take an idea and reshape it from a person into a chair. And so they say, why did I dream of that? And I say, I don't know. Why would you dream of that? They're like, well, I don't know. That's why I'm asking you. I'm thinking, but this is your language of your own mind. The one funny thing is, you have this stereotypical dream of people leaving the house without pants on, as this, which itself is fascinating because that's the vocabulary in your brain of that feeling of, oh my gosh, I forgot something important but something that I don't always pay attention to. Because when you're walking around during the day, you're not realizing, you're not thinking oh, I'm wearing pants right now. It's not something you pay conscious attention to, but if you weren't, it would be important. And so our brain uses that idea as a common vocabulary word of doing something you normally don't pay attention to, you're missing it, and something bad is going to happen. And now people are dreaming, instead of leaving the house without pants, they're leaving without masks on, because now they have to remember, but they're not used to remembering, and it's this whole new vocabulary we have.
I've had dreams that are definitely dark-sided, where you're like, something's grabbing me, it's pulling me into the dark, and it wants something that I just intrinsically think it should not have. And those can be terrifying. So could dreams be a version of yourself from your optimal future, helping guide you to meet them on that side of the fence?
So really, when you look at the brain, and you look at the systems that control memory and the systems that control emotion, it looks like emotion is a really important part of how the memory system works, potentially because emotion is what tells our brain what to remember. What is fear except for a flag for memory? Remember this is important. And memory needs that information to color it, to understand how it fits in, how, was this a good event or a bad event? And it looks like one of the things that happens in dreaming is those rules break down on purpose to allow us to probe, see, process, integrate connections between things that we might not even be consciously aware of, but they help us learn. Why? Because clearly evolution figured out that the brains that did that figured things out better. So maybe it allows us to make sense of a world in a way that we can't actually do when we're awake.
This time is unprecedented, and there is so much anxiety, and COVID is going to be in us and in our brains and in our dreams, I think, for years and years.
I'm sure people who are dealing with a lot more, losing their jobs, and, so many people are losing their homes. I bet their dreams are pretty intense and pretty bad.
If I've given myself a really rough day, if I've really beat myself up, then I encounter these kind of chaotic, combative dreams, versus if I'm kind to myself, my dreams tend to be more fun, and I get to explore parts of myself and maybe discover something in the dream versus be pulled to a dark place.
I feel like, let your unconscious take you for a ride. It never gets to do that in your day-to-day life for the most part. It's always having to be, warped into shape.
I want to give comfort to people that you don't have to remember all your dreams for them to benefit you as much as they're going to. You might be able to learn something new from them by remembering them, and if you do, when you wake up, jot them down, write down as much as you can. I wouldn't ascribe over-importance to them. It was a dream. If you want to dig into it more, go right ahead. I would not make it cause a worsening of the quality of your life. Know that the dream is doing its job because you're having it.